You've been deceived. Every decision you make, every reaction you have, every thought you think, it's not entirely yours. It's a program. Someone or something has been pulling the strings, shaping your reality, controlling your mind. You're walking through life like a puppet, but you don't even realize it. You think you're in control, but in truth, you're just following a script written by forces you've never even seen. You've been conditioned, molded, and bent. They know your fears, your desires, your weaknesses, and they exploit them every single day. But here's the catch. You're still following the program. The first step to freedom, to true power, is realizing you've been programmed. Only then can you break free. But if you don't understand this, you'll stay trapped, stuck in a loop, a game you didn't even know you were playing. Think about the last time you felt like you had no choice but to do something. Maybe it was a decision you regret now, a time when you followed what others expected of you. That wasn't your decision. It was theirs. Right now, there are forces, hidden, unspoken, shaping your every move. And it's happening without you ever realizing. They've programmed you to feel small, weak, insignificant, to think you have no power, to think you need their approval. But what if I told you that everything you've been told is a lie? What if the system that's been running your life isn't as powerful as it appears? What if you could step out of it? What if you could finally break free? The truth, you're being programmed, and I'm here to show you how they do it and how you can take control. Let me tell you a story. There was a man, a brilliant strategist, a leader of men. He had everything: wealth, power, influence. But in the quiet moments of his life, when he was alone, something was missing. He didn't feel free. It felt as though he was always playing by someone else's rules. He was trapped in a game he didn't understand. This man, let's call him Victor, knew that he had been given everything. But deep down, he wasn't living life on his terms. His desires, his fears, his very actions were being manipulated. It was subtle at first. A suggestion here, a nudge there. A message disguised as advice. A command hidden in a compliment. Then one day, Victor had a revelation. He realized that everything he believed was part of someone else's design. They didn't just want him to obey. They wanted him to obey without question. They had turned him into a puppet. But here's where it gets interesting. He fought back. And the moment he did, the walls of control began to crumble. Victor discovered a dark truth. He had the power to break free. And so do you. But you need to recognize the program before you can break it. Because if you don't see it, it controls you, keeps you in line, keeps you small. You have to realize something now. You are being influenced by forces you don't understand. Forces that know your deepest weaknesses, your desires, your emotional triggers. They've studied you, they've mapped your mind, and they've got you locked in their system. But imagine the power, the freedom, the dominance you would have if you knew how to break free. What if you could see through their manipulation, break their chains, and walk through the world with absolute freedom? What if you could live without fear, without doubt, without the need for approval? To take control, you need to understand how they program you. And it all starts with one simple truth. You are being manipulated. You've been programmed to obey. They've done it with everything. With your education, with your media, with your relationships. They've trained you to be submissive, to play their game. And it's time for you to realize the game isn't yours. Now, let's talk about how they do it. The first way they program you is through your environment, the world around you, the things you see, the people you interact with. They've designed a reality that traps you. The moment you step outside, you're bombarded by signals. Advertisements, social media, news, even casual conversations. Each message is a piece of the puzzle, a subtle reinforcement of the idea that you are not in control. This programming starts early. From the moment you were born, you were exposed to a world that shaped you. Your family, your teachers, your peers, they all contributed to the programming of your mind. They planted seeds, sometimes without even realizing it, that would grow into beliefs, fears, and habits. And once these beliefs take root, they become self-perpetuating. You start believing that this is the only way to live, the only path to success. You live by someone else's rules and you don't even question it. But you can choose to break free. The moment you recognize this, you can start taking control of your environment. You can choose what influences you, what voices you listen to, and what information you let into your mind. But it's not easy. They've made the world so persuasive, so seductive, that it's almost impossible to escape. It's like walking through a forest where every tree has been carefully placed to ensure you get lost. Every ad, every opinion, every piece of advice, designed to push you in a direction they control. What happens if you don't break free? You stay trapped. You remain a pawn in a game you didn't even know you were playing. You'll continue to obey the program, walking through life as a puppet, and nothing will change. You'll always feel like you're working hard, but getting nowhere. Always striving, but never truly in control. Now, I want you to ask yourself, how many of your decisions are truly yours? How many of them have been influenced by external forces? You need to understand this. Breaking the program is the first step to true power. But there's more. They don't just manipulate your environment. They manipulate your mind. The second way they control you is through your internal dialogue, your thoughts, your beliefs. And this is where the real power lies. Because if they can control your mind, they control you. And they've been doing it for years. But once you realize this, everything changes. The truth is, your mind isn't entirely yours either. It's been shaped by outside influences, by the things you've read, the things you've heard, the people you've trusted. You were taught to think in a certain way, taught to value certain things, to fear certain things, taught to accept certain beliefs without ever questioning them. And over time, you became a product of these thoughts. But what if you could rewrite your mind? Imagine stepping outside this mental prison. Imagine being able to think freely, to make decisions based on your true desires, not on the programming of others. Now, in the next part, we're going to go deeper into how they manipulate your mind and how you can start taking control. But for now, ask yourself this: are you ready to stop being a puppet? They've controlled your environment. They've shaped your mind. But the real danger lies deeper than that. They control your desires, your wants, your cravings, your dreams. They've been engineered. Every ad you see, every influencer you follow, every product you buy, they aren't just selling you things. They're selling you desires. These desires are crafted to keep you coming back, to make you feel incomplete without them. You think you want the latest gadget, the perfect body, the approval of others. But in reality, these desires were created long before you ever felt them. They've been implanted into your psyche, like seeds waiting to grow. Look around you. Think about the last thing you truly craved. Was it yours? Or was it something you've been subtly taught to desire? They want to keep you in a perpetual state of wanting, because while you're distracted by chasing these hollow desires, you're never focused on what really matters. And this is the most dangerous part of the programming, because as long as they control your desires, they control your behavior. Let me tell you about someone you may recognize: Alexander the Great. He was a man who conquered much of the known world. But do you know what drove him? It wasn't just the thirst for power. It was something deeper, a void. He wanted more, and it wasn't enough. He sought conquest after conquest, because he was driven by an insatiable desire to fill an emptiness inside him. An emptiness that was never really his to begin with. You think your desires are unique, but they're not. They are the desires that have been planted in your subconscious, through the media, through society, through the people around you. The moment you realize this, you realize how much power they have over you. Every craving, every urge, every dream, they were programmed into you by someone else. Here's where it gets dark. When you follow these desires, you're not following your true self. You're following a script. So how do you break free? First, you need to strip away these false desires. You need to question everything you think you want. Is it truly yours? Or is it part of someone else's plan to keep you distracted? This is a process of stripping away the layers of conditioning until you can see yourself for who you truly are, not what others want you to be. But there's another layer of control they use, one that's perhaps more sinister than anything else. They control your relationships. Think about the people in your life, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your romantic partners. Every relationship you have is influenced by external forces, and they use these relationships to control you, to keep you bound to their narrative. They've trained you to seek approval, to seek love, to seek validation from others. And this craving for external validation is like a leash around your neck. The moment you start needing others' approval to feel good about yourself, you've lost. They've won. Because now, they have a direct line into your emotions. You've been taught to depend on others for your self-worth. You seek love, not for connection, but for validation. You seek praise, not for fulfillment, but for reassurance. You see it every day. The constant need for validation on social media. The likes, the comments, the shares. They know exactly how to trigger this craving in you. It's not just about connecting with others, it's about feeding a machine. You are the machine, and they are the ones pulling the levers. But how many of those relationships are real? How many are based on true connection, and how many are built on the need for external validation? The moment you stop needing others to validate you, you gain the ultimate freedom. No one can control you once you stop seeking their approval. But to reach that point, you must first see how deeply your relationships have been shaped by this desire for validation. You see, the more you seek validation from others, the more you fall into their trap. They use this to keep you emotionally dependent on them. That's why toxic relationships thrive. They feed off your need for approval. But here's the breakthrough. When you stop seeking validation, you stop being controlled. You no longer need their approval to feel powerful. You become self-sufficient, self-validated. And that, my friend, is where the real power lies. Now, take a moment and think about your own relationships. Who in your life is there because you truly want them there? And who is there because you crave something from them? What do you truly need from others, genuine connection, or something else entirely? To take back control, you must stop playing the game of validation. Only then can you step out of the system they've built for you. Only then can you break free. But it's not just your desires and relationships they've programmed. There's one more area they've had control over, and it's one you've been taught to ignore your entire life. Your deepest fears. These fears are their ultimate weapon. They know that if they can make you afraid, they can control you. Fear is the ultimate tool of manipulation. Paralyzes you, keeps you stuck, keeps you obedient. Think about the fears you carry with you. The fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of not being good enough, the fear of being alone. But what if I told you that these fears were never yours to begin with? What if they were planted inside you, like seeds of doubt, by people who wanted to control you? What if all those things you're terrified of are simply illusions created to keep you small? The moment you realize this, everything changes. You are not afraid of failing. You are afraid of what failure means to others. You are not afraid of being rejected. You are afraid of not fitting into their mold. But once you recognize these fears as the lies they are, you can strip them away. You can stand in your own power, free from the chains of their control. Here's what happens when you take control of your fears. You become unstoppable. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You don't need to feed their false desires. You are free. You are in control. And that's the point where everything shifts. The game ends. You're no longer a puppet in someone else's show. You become the strategist. You take the reins, and you make the rules. But the real question is, are you ready to break the programming? Because if you are, the transformation begins now. I end the next part. I'll show you exactly how to take the first steps toward breaking free and stepping into the life you were always meant to live. But that choice, the choice to step away from the program, is yours. You've realized that they've been controlling your environment, manipulating your desires, and feeding your fears. But let me make one thing clear. They're not done yet, that there's one last piece to this puzzle, and it's the most insidious of all. They control your time. You might think that your time is yours to spend, but the reality, your time has been hijacked. Every minute of your day has been carefully curated, engineered to keep you busy, distracted, and stuck in the cycle of obeying someone else's rules. Think about it. How much of your time is spent on things that truly matter? How much of your day is spent on tasks that move you closer to your goals, to your purpose, to your personal mastery? Now, think about how much of your time is stolen by things that don't serve you at all. Your phone, your endless scrolling, your email inbox, the toxic relationships you keep feeding into, the busy work you do just to feel like you're doing something. You're being programmed to stay busy, but not productive. They've designed the system to keep you distracted, fragmented, overwhelmed by noise. The more they can keep you busy, the less time you have for yourself, the less time you have to think, the less time you have to reflect, and the less time you have to create the life you truly want. In their world, you're a hamster in a wheel. You run and run, but you never get anywhere. Your time is spent on their terms, and the moment you give them control of your time, you've lost the game. This is the ultimate form of manipulation, and they've perfected it. Time is your most precious asset, but they've tricked you into giving it away. And as long as you keep letting them steal your time, you'll never reach your full potential. But there's good news. You can take back your time. The first step is awareness. You need to realize where your time is going. You need to track every minute. It's not just about time management, it's about taking control of your life. Once you start auditing your time, you'll see how much of it has been taken from you, how much of it has been wasted on things that don't move you forward. And when you take back control of your time, you unlock a powerful new ability. You can choose what you want to focus on. You can carve out space for your growth, your learning, your creativity. You stop running on autopilot, and you start living intentionally. The second step is creating boundaries. You need to protect your time just like you would protect your energy. Stop saying yes to everything. Stop letting others control your schedule. If something doesn't serve you, if it doesn't align with your goals, then it doesn't get your time. And as you start reclaiming your time, something incredible happens. You become the master of your own life. Now, let me take you even deeper. What if I told you that breaking the programming doesn't just make you free, it makes you dangerous? Because once you understand how they've controlled you, once you see the strings, you can manipulate the system for your own gain. You can use their own tactics to get ahead. This is where the power shift happens. When you realize the program, you no longer follow it. You no longer obey. You don't just break free. You become the architect of your own destiny. You use the very same tools they used against you, but you turn them on their head. You begin to control the program instead of being controlled by it. Think about the greatest minds in history. Leaders, visionaries, game changers. They weren't slaves to the system, they hacked it. They understood how it worked, how people were programmed, and they used that knowledge to move the masses. They didn't follow the rules. They rewrote them. What would happen if you could rewrite the rules too? What would happen if you could take the power that's been used against you and turn it into your greatest weapon? This is your transformation. You're no longer a pawn in the game. You are the strategist. You see the world not as it is, but as it could be. You understand the strings, and instead of letting them pull you, you pull them. You begin to create your own reality, your own rules, and your own success. The game is no longer theirs. It's yours. But here's where it gets even darker. Once you break free, you won't just be more powerful. You will be a threat. Because once you see how the system works, once you become conscious of the game, you realize just how many others are still trapped. and you realize that most people will never break free. They're too comfortable in the programming, too conditioned by their environment, their desires, their fears. They are walking through life with blinders on, doing what they've been told to do, living how they've been taught to live. They are trapped in the cycle and they don't even know it. And here's where you stand. You have the power to break free and to dominate the game. But you have to decide, will you stay on the sidelines watching others fall into the system, or will you rise above it, become the architect of your own destiny, and take control? This is the final step in your transformation. You stop being the prey. You become the hunter. The moment you break free, you realize that you don't need to play by their rules anymore. You can rewrite the game. You can bend the system to your will. The power has always been yours. You've just been too blind to see it. Now you're awake, you're aware, and you're unstoppable. The next part of your journey? It's time to take everything you've learned, everything you've realized, and make it real. You will never again be a puppet. You will write the script, and the world will follow. But this is just the beginning. You can feel the power rising, can't you? The world is yours for the taking. But here's the question I'll leave you with. Are you ready to rise? Because the game is over. And you've already won. So here you are. You've gone through the fire. You've peeled back the layers of manipulation, broken free from the conditioning that bound you for so long. You've realized that the system was never set up for your success. It was designed to keep you small, distracted, and compliant. But you've transcended it. Now, the real question is, what do you do with all of this power? You've learned the dark truth. The world around you is nothing more than a game, a web of manipulation, and that you've been the puppet. But you don't have to stay that way. You can use this knowledge to break the chains, to master the game, and most importantly, to dominate it. So what does your life look like now? Knowing what you know, you walk through the world with a different energy. You understand the subtle forces at play, the desires planted in your mind, the validation they used to keep you compliant, the ways they've tried to control your time. And now, you don't fall for it anymore. You're no longer their pawn, you're the strategist. You don't need to chase empty desires. You know exactly what you want and why you want it. You've stopped living for validation from others. You've stopped running after the hollow promises they fed you. You've learned to protect your time, to guard it like the precious asset it is. And now you control it. But here's the most powerful part. You're playing the game on your terms. Instead of following the rules, you're rewriting them. You see the system for what it is, and instead of letting it trap you, you use it to your advantage. You've become an insider, using the very tools that once bound you to rise above, to claim your power. This transformation? It's more than just mental, it's visceral. It's not some abstract knowledge that stays locked in your mind. It's a deep internal shift that affects how you move, how you think, how you act. Every decision you make now is with clarity. Every step you take is strategic. You've embraced the dark truths. But now you are the light. You are the force of nature. You are the one who controls the narrative, who shapes the world around you. You're no longer at the mercy of the system. They are at the mercy of you. And the greatest part? The world doesn't even see you coming. While others keep playing by the old rules, you've transcended them. You're miles ahead, the game now fully in your hands. The programming that once held you captive has no more power over you. You've destroyed it. And as you move forward, you'll realize something. You were never really trapped. You just needed to wake up. The moment you take control of your mind, your desires, your relationships, your time, you take control of everything. You become the master of your own fate. You no longer bend to their will. You become the one who shapes the future. So now that you've broken free, the world is yours to command. The question is, what are you going to do with it? You have all the tools you need. You understand the darkness of manipulation. You've shattered the lies. You've risen above the conditioning. Now, the question isn't about breaking free anymore, it's about what comes next. Will you fade into the background, content to let others dictate your life? Or will you step into your full power, rewrite the game, and create the life you've always dreamed of? The truth is, most people will never make it this far. They'll remain trapped in the cycle, unaware that they are even in it. But you've broken the code. You've learned to play, and now you control the game. You are no longer the prey. You are the hunter, the strategist, the master. And that, my friend, is the greatest power of all. So as you move forward, remember this. This is your moment, your time, your life. You are no longer at the mercy of anyone or anything. The choices are yours, and they are powerful. Now, go make them count if you're ready to rise even higher, to take back more than just the game, to become unstoppable. There's only one thing you need to do. Like this video, subscribe, and join me in the next chapter of mastery. Because the world is waiting for those who are ready to dominate it. And you were always destined to be one of them. The game has just begun. Are you ready to rewrite the rules?